This is The Social here on talkSPORT 2 with me, Ollie, Clink, alongside Rory Jennings. Let's start with City and hear from their manager, Pep Guardiola, who said after the game, it's not just about him having to fix the issues, the players need to chip in as well.
They have me, they want to try. Listen, it's 3-4 months ago, we won the Premier League, FA Cup semi-final and quarterfinals the Champions League when we played really good against the future champion Real Madrid. So it's not, I would say, 1 century ago, it was close. But the situation for the beginning was difficult for many reasons. For injuries, people late, people was not completely ready because exhausted from the success, for many reasons. And now we are late because at the end we are 2 points away and a fantastic team from Arsenal after losing I don't know how many games, so we are not far away. The problem is the team like Liverpool that all the games in Champions League here just lost, it's just to congratulate them. But that's why it's not about to talk about the perspective, the future, what you have to win. It's how to recover, come back, and the players take, responsibility. I know they want to do it. I know they want to do it for the club, for me. So that is no doubt about that.
It's interesting to hear him say that, no doubt about the fact that the players are so keen to play for him. The reason I say that is, we'll talk about how well Liverpool played in just a moment, but Man City have been on a bad run, but they were completely bereft of confidence as well in that game. It didn't even feel at any point as if they were going to lay a glove on Liverpool. It was even when Liverpool were only 1-0 up, at no point watching that game did I think, oh, Man City might nick one here, they might get back into it. And that's until maybe Doku came on and they were already 2-0 down. It
sounds like hyperbole, doesn't it? It sounds like a joke. It sounds like a lie. If you go, that game could have easily ended 8-0. It sounds like you're exaggerating or just trying to make a point by going that bit further. But we're actually not. The game could have easily ended 8-0. Virgil van Dijk had a hat-trick of headers which could have easily ended up in the back of the net. And if they had, it would have been a very different complexion on the game.
Salah had a big chance as
Salah
well.
had, the easiest chance by his standards that he could ever dream of, and that's not it. It's just like the whole sequences of play. It was all dominated by Liverpool. Liverpool asked all the questions, and Manchester City didn't have any answers and didn't ask any questions of their own. They were totally impotent going forward. They were non-existent in the midfield, and at the back they were in total disarray. Like, they were all over the place, shoddy, really shoddy. And there is something endemic going on at Manchester City. It's really problematic because when you listen to Pep Guardiola speaking, he starts talking about the brilliance of the team in the bygone era. Talks about what they've done over the 6 years. Talks
it's
about
very
what they
Eric
did last
Ten Hag, isn't it?
But the thing is, do you know what? All of that's true, but they're completely different conversations. If Pep Guardiola wants to talk about legacy and brilliance and dominance and where he ranks in the pantheon of great Premier League managers, we can do that. And obviously he is, in my opinion, second best. Some would suggest he's the best to have ever operated. But that's not really the conversation, is it? Because we're not trying to talk about his legacy because he's still writing his story, at least so we think he is. So if we focus on the here and now, there is no point in talking about what he achieved over the last 6 years. He won the domestic treble, he won the league by securing 100 points. That's all very true and very impressive, but irrelevant to the crisis that is facing the club today. Yeah,
honestly, it's like I say, it felt a bit like those interviews that we saw at the end of the Eric Ten Hag era where all he could say, they were like, what's going on with the Man United defence? We won 2 cups. No, you know what I mean? Every single time he had to go back to that. And listen, Pep Guardiola's record is certainly something to lean on. But I do understand your point there. But it's just the display as well. You're so right about the lack of anything in attack, really. I thought Erling Haaland was so poor. I think he's been poor in many games recently, but that easily was his worst. I thought Virgil van Dijk absolutely bullied him at the back as well, put in a really good performance. But also, even just the setup, and it does feel bizarre, doesn't it? Questioning a Man City performance or even a Man City lineup, but the lack of wingers until very late on in that game. And I don't know about what you think, Rory, but I just feel like the intensity has finally caught up with this Man City squad. You've got ageing players. I think they've made mistakes in the transfer market leading up to this point that haven't helped, including letting players go such as Cole Palmer, arguably Julian Alvarez, although they did get a lot of money for him.
It's even bigger than that. It's even bigger. When you go Julian Alvarez or you start talking about, I don't know, Riyad Mahrez or Leroy Sané, it's actually worse than that. It's more Liam Delap. It's players like that who could be so beneficial to the squad. You can't have an entire squad made up of icons. I do understand that. But Pep Guardiola seems to let anyone go that wants to go. Joao Cancelo suggests he wants to leave, off he goes. Leroy Sané suggests he wants to leave, off he goes. They don't stand in anyone's way. And on some level, that's admirable. Raheem Sterling is another example. Gabriel Jesus is another. It's admirable. But you have to have sufficient replacements.
But that's been the issue, hasn't it? That's actually just been the issue.
Or don't let him go in the first place, though. Like, why is Liam Delap not a Man City player? I'm being really serious here. Why
because they've won 6 titles in 7 years. That's why. It has worked. Let's be completely fair. Yes, they're having a very torrid time at the moment. Yes, they're out this title race. But in the past, it has worked.
But
the reason it has worked is maybe they have signed, maybe not completely sufficient replacements, but replacements anyway.
No, I think you're being too kind, though. You're being too generous to Guardiola here. You can win the league and simultaneously make mistakes. Simply winning the league doesn't excuse everything else. Like, for example, if I say, you know the year Chelsea let Mohamed Salah go? Let's not make it an attack on Man City. Let me use an example which is more dear to my heart. The year that Chelsea let Mo Salah leave, you, I assume, and most of the footballing consciousness would suggest that was a mistake. Chelsea allowed Mo Salah to leave. Was it a mistake?
Yeah, it was a mistake. Yeah, when you look at what he's delivered now,
fine. We won the league that year. It wasn't a mistake. We won the league. We won the league in a canter, by the way. We won the league at a canter.
So, but it's almost what I've been saying. Is you can make long-term mistakes, but in the short term, we surely can't sit here and just say everything that he's done is wrong and it's led to this point.
No, not everything. Loads of what he's done's right, but the fact that Liam Delap isn't a Man City player is a mistake. The fact, I mean,
it's interesting you focus on Liam Delap, not Cole Palmer.
Because Cole Palmer is so obvious though. The reason that I'm flagging Delap is to just show that there's a culture of
What about
generosity.
The other thing is signing Mateus Nunes when
That's terrible.
They were linked with Declan Rice,
Lucas
for a long
Paquetá.
time. Being linked with him, yeah, of course. Savinho, I don't think he's hardly done anything. And then the issue as well is that you get into these aging players, Bernardo Silva, who actually have been playing under Pep for such a long time. After a while, they're only human, and as much as they're footballers that will want as much success as possible, eventually living and working in that environment surely catches up with you. And I just feel like it's all,
I don't think it has
all
caught
coming
up with
together
them,
at once.
I don't think it has caught up with them. I think the problem is that the signings that Pep Guardiola has made, by and large, have failed. By and large, Mateo Kovacic has come in, it hasn't worked. Mateus Nunes came in, it didn't work. Calvin Phillips came in, didn't work. Basically, the midfield has no answer if Rodri isn't there. Rodri is a one-man midfield. So they've made some atrocious signings. Doku's come in, not really been good enough. Jack Grealish has come in. I think Grealish is an excellent player, but everybody seems to disagree with me on that. So, where do we sit with regard to Grealish?
I think that's the thing. I think when you look, obviously we can't sit here and say every single signing they've made hasn't been good, because of course they have. So many of them have worked. But I do think you're right that in the long-term scheme of things, the last few windows for Manchester City clearly haven't worked, and they've almost become too reliant on those other players such as Rodri to maintain that level of success as well. What about Liverpool though as well, because they've been absolutely unbelievable under Arne Slot. Let's hear from him, because he still thinks, he's the coolest man in the world, isn't he? But he still thinks, despite the current points gap, sides like Arsenal, Chelsea and still Man City are still in with a shout at the title.
It's a good position to be in, but I know, and you guys know even better than me, because you're in this league much longer than I am. You guys know that Arsenal and City are able to win every single game from now till the end. And I've seen Chelsea playing here, and now for the last few results as well. They've invested so much money that it's not weird that they are where they are at the moment. So they're also, in my opinion, able to win almost every game. So that makes the Premier League so interesting for every fan in and around the world, that there are so many good teams, and it's never done. I've said it earlier. Last season there was a big difference in points, I think, already in February between Arsenal and City, and they were still able to come back. So that's what makes the Premier League such an interesting league.
Do you know what I heard one of the Liverpool players talking about Slot the other day, and just saying the best thing about him is that he hasn't tried to be Jurgen Klopp coming in. He hasn't tried to fill the boots. He hasn't tried to do the same training sessions, be the same character. He's been himself. But what was amazing, I thought, about the performance as well, was that it was almost like a hybrid, wasn't it? They started like a Klopp team and then contained it like a Slot team. He's been amazing. I do want to ask about Mo Salah though in this contract situation. We talked about your best mate Carrie Carrot earlier, who's been saying about, the fact that Liverpool, he was saying, need to almost stick to their principles as a club. They don't often give long contracts to ageing players. He was saying about the fact that they found Mo Salah in the first place. They need to, as a club, go and try and find the next Mo Salah. Where do you stand on this, given that he is your best mate?
I mean, I wish that were the case. Sadly, it's not the case, but I'm working on it. But where I sit on it is, I think that Jamie Carragher flagged something that's very important, that the defenders and supporters of Mohamed Salah, but I don't even like positioning it like that, actually, because it makes it sound like there's a sort of conflict and you have to be either on one side or the other, and I don't think you do. I think that what happens with these negotiations is that there is a dance. There is a game that has to be played, and everyone is playing that game. Liverpool are doing what they have to do for the furtherance of their agenda. Mo Salah is doing what he thinks is correct for the furtherance of his finance, security, family, legacy.
Yeah, he saw Black Friday around the corner. That's why I said it after the Southampton game.
But do you know what? I think that there is a dance that has to be played. But Jamie Carragher flagging something very important didn't really get the mileage that it deserves. Mohamed Salah doesn't speak to anyone in the mix zone. Like, he makes a point. It's quite a famous in-joke within the Liverpool journalistic crew that he doesn't stop. Off the back of a result against Southampton at the Dell, the St Mary's, he uses that as his opportunities. Do you know what? Today, actually, I do fancy a chat. Now, I have no issue with it. I genuinely don't. I think Mo Salah deserves a fortune. I think that Liverpool should...
Does he deserve a 4-year contract, though? Does he deserve that long? He's 32 at the moment.
Do you know what, Ollie? It's very difficult for me to answer this because I will always look at situations through the lens of a football fan. And as a football fan, you go, yeah, of course he does.
Yeah, because you live in the now.
He's wicked.
Yeah.
You've seen him play football?
Yeah.
Have you seen him play football?
Yeah, he's really good.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Do you want him to leave? No. Give him the money then, right? And I'm not well versed enough, or arguably probably intelligent enough, and I don't even want to be, to factor in the boardroom stuff. I find the politics in football, I find the finances of football fairly distasteful and a pollution on the game. So I don't really want to think like that. But equally, if I try to, there has to be a line. You can, I go give him whatever he wants, but you can't.
No,
it
you
breaks
can't.
a wage structure.
I think what Liverpool need to do is try and talk him down for 4 years.
But have you seen the developments today? Literally moments ago.
He potentially could be leaving on a free.
No, he has said, and again, I don't know if this is genuine or if this is part of the dance. He said, "I want 1 year."
See, they've got to take that.
But you see, I don't. That to me doesn't sound legit, because there's no way that FSG would argue and quibble over 1 year.
Yeah,
but all I think it is, Ollie, everyone is drip feeding things to media, to sympathetic commentators, for the furtherance of their own thing. And it's like an episode of The Wire where everything is part of the game.
Yeah.
You don't take anything personally. It's all being played for everybody's different agenda.
For a reason, yeah. Do you know what's funny? You say that about going to the mix zone and speaking to those journalists. He's kind of done everything multi-platform, hasn't he? I think the other thing was like on a tweet on social media, another one on TV. We should get him on the show.
Do you know what's quite impressive about that? You can win via social media when the person that you're arguing with doesn't even know social media exists. Yeah. If Mo Salah sort of becomes the TikTok guy, he will win, man.
He needs to do Lewandowski.
Yeah, he will win. It's like Trump went on Joe Rogan.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.